If you are not a friend or a family member, then you know me as Las Vegas Cris, sports handicapper. I'm Cris. But all of you are in the exact same position because I'm going to share some information that nobody knows, not anybody at all. So I've lost contact with a lot of people recently, and I want to explain some of the reasons why. And time is valuable, so I don't want to waste anybody's time either. So I won't be stringing you along. There's nothing to sell here. I'm using this opportunity to update what's been going on with me. And I think it's an excellent opportunity for anybody, regardless if they even know who I am or care. Um, Basically, I want to explain things as simply as possible for the benefit of everybody. And in 2022, I felt that there was something wrong inside me, downstairs, intestinally or somewhere. So I went to the doctor, colon rectal clinic, and I was told that there was, in fact, a problem. So what I'm going to do here from here on is give a basic chronological history of the obstacles and emotions, and most importantly, the lessons learned that I've been through that can benefit anybody. Because unfortunately, each and every one of us are going to be in this situation with either themselves or a loved one, family member, friend. And it's difficult to have explanations and understandings in layman's terms. It's easy to find doctors telling you this, or very specific things, but I want to explain what I've been through. Uh, and I said I wouldn't string anybody along. I've been diagnosed with cancer, and I'm going to go through the evolution of that. Uh, I'm not in dire shape. I have every reason to be optimistic. And from this point forward, I'm going to go through the history. There's going to be a lot of vulnerable stuff. There's going to be stuff I guarantee you somebody else wouldn't tell you about what they've been through. And there's going to be scattered throughout some tips and advice that anybody can find value in. I chose not to tell anybody about this. I didn't realize the repercussions of it, which I'll discuss also. And getting back to where we started, I saw the doctor, who is also a surgeon. He said I have cancer, or I have a growth. He sent me for tests and labs. It was confirmed that I have cancer. I then saw a cancer doctor, and she said I would need chemotherapy, but she would also be recommending a radiologist because I would need radiology. And the three of them would be conferring on what the best plan of action for me was going to be, because you can do different things in different orders. So the bad thing along the way, from my perspective, is that as the time goes on, they give you a little bit more information. They don't give you everything all at once. So at this point, I have cancer, and I'm being scheduled. I'm doing all these labs and all these blood tests, and I'm told I'm going to have 24 weeks of chemo. And what I needed to do before that, though, was I needed to go and get a port installation. Now, anybody that has not updated their health insurance or thinks it's not important and doesn't worry about it, well, we're $1.4 million into this. So this is nothing to, sneeze at. And I'm still going like the Energizer Bunny with bills. So as expensive as medical insurance is, I can't recommend enough. You better have your ass covered. That's all I have to say because it adds up quickly. The first thing I had done was a port installation, which went right in here. And I went to some crappy hospital. I think I don't want to give a bad name, but anyway, it just sucked. The staff sucked. The nurse sucked. And it was just an unpleasant experience. And I subsequently found out that they had already decided to close the hospital and were kind of going through the motions. So at least we don't have to worry about that hospital anymore. But that simple procedure to put the port in here, which was just outpatient, numb me out. I think maybe a twilight type sleep, in and out. There's the first 85,000 out the door right there. And that is so that when I get my chemo, which is 24 weeks long, they insert it into here. Every 2 weeks, I had to go Mondays, and I would have to drive across town and sit with people. And this is a good opportunity. I should have said this earlier. No matter what I say, no matter if I misspeak or whatever, don't for a minute think that I do not consider myself extremely fortunate to be here. I mean that sincerely. The people that I came in contact with or observed, the situations they were in, I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. If you're watching this video, so are you. And I just can't express that enough. So I would go there and I would sit with people to get the drip, sit in a decent recliner. They would insert this with the IV. I'd have to 45 minutes of that until the 2-hour chemo drip. So usually about 3.5 hours there. And that was no fun. It's a vacuum of energy there. There's people in far worse shape, people not feeling well. The only good thing is, whatever snacks we wanted, drinks we wanted, we could have, but we would go through bouts of freezing or hot. I don't think I was necessarily hot, but freezing was a problem. So we'd have blankets and try to get some sleep, some work if I could, but it would make me sleepy or groggy where I wouldn't want to work. So it couldn't do two things at once. And then it was over. If I had to get up from the bathroom, I'd have to get up to the bathroom. I'd have to bring all this crap with me and navigate around. And even taking a simple leak was just a real hassle because of all the stuff connected and just the logistics of it. So that was no fun. I would have to take this machine home with me and return it on Wednesday. So 48 hours of this machine about this big, and it would grind, make a grounding noise like meh, meh, and then it would also beep. Go beep, meh, beep. So it never stops. And it's every 2 minutes or 90 seconds or 2.5 minutes. I never measured it, but all day, all night, 2 days, dribbling in chemo poison. So made it difficult to sleep. The noise would be there. You can't roll over, can't get comfortable. You don't have to carry it around. It would make noise no matter what. There was no way to shut it off. So for me, I wasn't, sharing my obstacle with people. So, if I went out with people, it would have to be in a loud environment because it was that noisy. I'd have to go back Wednesdays and return it and wait till it ran out. They would flush my system or flush the port for 40 minutes or something like that. And, more time. The symptoms for me were probably okay. The cold I could live with, getting the actual chemo, but then there were side effects that would stay with you. Even, that's why they couldn't continually give it to you, and it'd have to be an every 2 week thing. So like the first week, and symptoms kind of gradually come up. So they don't come up all at once. They build up, and they give you as much as your body's going to be able to take. And then they give you a break and start over. One of the things that affected me the most was cold. So if I'm holding a glass like this, could not do it. Would have to immediately drop it. Go, if I was able to hold it, remember when you touched your tongue to a battery? Multiply that by 5. If I wanted to touch a popsicle or anything like that, it was like, so that was a negative side effect because I like popsicles. I like cold beverages. One of the things that I was fortunate about was I didn't get nauseous. They gave me lots of anti-nausea pills. I understand most people get nauseous from it. So a little bit fortunate on that front. My eyes were kind of going a little bit. I'd always had perfect eyesight, but they were going a little bit before this, and they certainly have just been declining. I don't know whether it's from this or not, but my eyesight is certainly worse. Bathroom issues with just infrequency of needing to go to the bathroom. Sometimes I'd have to go every 15 minutes. Sometimes, everything was okay. What kept me kind of going on this is, it wasn't that bad. It was like, okay. And as the weeks went by, they would ask me, well, you're getting sick. Is this happening? Is that? No, I'm okay. And they were kind of surprised. So I was fortunate for quite some time. It started to get to the point where I was really tired all the time, lethargic. I felt like I was in a twilight sleep much of the day, just sort of, and one of the strangest things, I don't know how to explain it, is I would wake up and usually just get up, but there were dozens of times where I just wouldn't move. And it wasn't because I couldn't move. It was because the normal thought process to get up that gets you up just didn't happen. So I'd be like, just like this. Okay, time to get up. Let's go. And I literally would not move. This happened dozens of times. It is the strangest feeling in the world. Sometimes it would last 10 seconds. Sometimes I'd be like 2, 3, 4 minutes. I don't know how to explain it. It was just very strange, but it was not like I couldn't move. It was, like I said, difficult to explain. The normal thoughts that would normally get you up and at them didn't work. I would have to literally make an effort, if that makes any sense. If somebody stopped in the room, if I had to get up, wouldn't have been a problem, wouldn't have been a struggle. It just required an impulse that was not being used to get me going. And that would have been like, some additional action. So the one thing that has built up over time that did bother me, and it still bothers me to this day, is the neuropathy. Neuropathy is when your extremities, your fingers and your feet, your toes get numb. And to this day, my fingertips just a little bit, but it was much worse back then, where you just don't feel stuff as much. And that's dangerous because you could burn your hand. You could put your hand on something too hot and you're not going to feel it until you've done damage. On my feet, if you've ever put your feet into somebody else's shoes, but not put them all the way in, and you're kind of walking on the heel and you're going boom, 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 that's kind of how my feet felt. I call it the moon boot type feeling, where you don't feel your feet. You feel like your feet are in something else. And there's some sort of an encasement around your feet because you can't feel whatever you're walking on or touching. And it was just ridiculous because I'd get up from sitting from someplace and my shoes had fallen off. I couldn't even tell for a few steps. So loss of sensation, loss of feeling. Sometimes it could be painful. It was really strange at night. And I would wear these booties to try to warm them up. You get a sensation of, extreme cold. And to this day, I still have the neuropathy. It's better. Some people never regain their feeling. Some people do. They don't know how to fix it. And it's different for everybody. And my neuropathy is up and down. It was much worse during this time period, though. So I would have a feeling of drunkenness and feeling tired all day. My hair started falling out in clumps. I could not believe how much hair I was losing in the bathtub. And I was not worried about losing the hair for vanity purposes. I had to, manage expectations because I was hired for media work, and I was worried about, well, how was I going to manage that? What could I commit to? And we didn't know for sure. And I look back at some of those videos and I look like a chia pet. I'm like, who was I kidding? Did people not notice? A few people reached out and asked if I was okay, but and I'm sure many people probably noticed and just didn't want to pose that question. But I didn't take a haircut for over a year. From the entire year of 2022, I did not have a single haircut. So I went from Thanksgiving to mid-January of 22 or 23. I call it the chemo head was constant after these visits, and it got to the point where I am right now, where I can't get it together. It would get to the point where it's just foggy all the time, and you just felt like you kind of were in a dreamlike state all day long. So it was really frustrating. I look back at some of the videos and I'm stuttering all the time, and I'm pausing when I normally wouldn't. I don't mind pausing, but I was forgetting names. I know I mentioned that. I couldn't remember people's names. I was losing memory of stuff that was easy. And it was my Alzheimer preparation. I guess what I did overlook saying in the beginning was that throughout this, I had a really positive frame of mind. I had a gambler's mentality to this. I've been given the hand I've been dealt. There's not a GD thing I can do about it. I'm going to not have a pity party, and I'm going to just do what I can do to stay positive about it. I did want to keep it private. And what I didn't understand at the time was how it would affect my wife, because that required her keeping it private. And as I'll discuss later on, I'm not sure that was so fair, and it wasn't fair. And I didn't realize that at the time. So I didn't realize that it would go on so long, and I didn't realize all the repercussions, and I wasn't being selfish about it. I just, I certainly didn't understand the full scope of it. I really thought it was my issue. And as you'll, see along the way, this isn't more than just you issue when you get an illness like this. It affects the people around you. So, and I did know that to a certain degree. That's why I didn't want to tell anybody. I told, didn't tell any family. My wife's the only person that I ever told. So the gambler mentality, used to so many bad beats. So I don't know. I took it in stride. I was just in denial and went with the flow. And I said, it's silly to not have a positive frame of mind. And I kept a positive frame of mind as best as I possibly could. So the only things that I will say, estate planning was a thought. And I speak from firsthand experience. If you think estate planning can just simply wait forever and ever, or if you have already made your estate planning and you think all your ducks are in a row, I doubt it. And of course, you need to do your estate planning. I know from personal experience that whatever you think is going to happen after you're gone is probably not going to go the way you see it. And there's so many things that are different than you would expect as far as what happens with, people's estates. And I never anticipated being involved in some of the issues that I've been involved in personally. And that's why I understand the importance of the estate planning. So please address that issue, because whatever can go wrong will go wrong. You need everything airtight, crystal clear. Otherwise, you wouldn't believe how things could be interpreted or misinterpreted, and so on. Enough about that, though. So I went through 28 weeks of that, and I did okay. I didn't have the nausea. I had the problems that I just discussed. As far as in comparison to other people, no complaints. My difficulties were not what other people went through. Other people went through it a lot rougher. What I do want to say is constant labs, MRIs, scans of this sort or that sort, all along the way, very intrusive into daily life. And as I mentioned, surgeon, cancer specialist, radiologist, they all communicate with each other, and you think that they have it airtight. They don't. And it's not incompetence, or maybe it's disorganization or whatever, but it's very important to stay on everything with these people. And you're going to see some of the stuff, but I know I'm going to leave out most of the stuff that I went through was along those lines. But always follow up on whatever is supposed to happen. Make sure that it happens. Double check everything. Keep records of everything. Take notes of everything. And because there are miscommunications, and any delays are amplified or much worse, because all these appointments take time. So if somebody doesn't, do their job and make an appointment, you might not get another appointment, and it puts you 3 weeks behind. And then you don't know that there's something wrong with you and you needed a procedure done. And there's just dozens of reasons why you have to stay on these doctors. And there was miscommunications between them on, well, what about, affecting parts of my treatment as well. And there was just partial snippets of communication brought to me. When they told me I have cancer originally, I had a growth. Then it became cancer. Then the cancer specialist said, you had cancer 3C. And I'm like, what the hell's 3C? And apparently that's like literally a sliver from being stage 4, which stage 4 is when cancer is spread to all your lymph nodes, or not all your lymph nodes, but to the lymph nodes in multiple areas, I believe. I'm not a doctor, so if I misspeak, it's unintentional. The 3C basically meant that it has spread outside of its area and is right there at the border. So I didn't know that for a long time. Well, why didn't somebody tell me that before? So that was a little disappointing to find that out, a little scarier there. And then later on, I'm going to get to some, vulnerable, kind of embarrassing or personal stuff that comes along the way. But going on, I finished the chemo. We're off to radiation. And I made it through the chemo okay, but required another month of rest. Now, I want this stuff to zip along because I want to go on vacation. I've been working. I'm used to going on a summer vacation every year. And that was out the window. And I just wanted to get through this process. During radiation, or going into radiation, those were going to be 28 daily treatments. And that involved taking 8 big horse chemo pills each day also. So not only am I on the chemo still, but now I'm going to have radiation zapping me. And my growth was, there is no good place to have a growth, but it was in the neighborhood of some things I care about. So very precarious area. And the first time you go in there, there's 3 nurses there, and I've got to get in a gown, and I got to, have them, lay on a table, and the table has like a little thing where you got to put your junk in. I mean, everything is like very, meticulous here, and they need to line me up perfectly. And their magic permanent markering stuff that's going to, stay on my skin for an extended period of time, and put tape over it, and I'm all marked up. Looks like I was some kid's plaything during art class or something. But so that was no fun. When they do the surgery, you have to go in there. You have to drink a lot of water, and they want your bladder filled. And if you haven't drank enough, that's no good, and it's completely wasted. And it's important that they can get to the right areas and stuff. And each day had different lengths of treatment. Some days I would get a break and it would only be 5 minutes. Other days it was there 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And I cannot tell you how difficult it is to remain absolutely perfectly still for even 5 minutes. That was torture sometimes. A third of the time, I would say, I went in there thinking, I'm going to pee myself. I can't hold it. I asked, where can I pee, on like 3 different occasions, because I was somewhat thinking on the probable side that I'm going to have to pee in a bucket or something as soon as this is done. So I'm fighting not peeing most of the time of these during these whatever you call it, when they zap you. But the other thing about remaining perfectly still, that was so hard, because especially if it was too long, it would become so painful that I mean, I'd be screaming in my head, please stop, because you can't. Because every time I shook a little bit, they say, you got to stay still or we're going to start over. We have to start over. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And I literally could not remain still this long, even if, some days. So it really stressful in that situation. It was, please stop. This was different because they burn you. They burn all this crap away. So they shrink. They want to shrink the tumor. They want to burn what's going into your lymph nodes and get as much of that as possible, and reduce everything. And what that did also is it shrunk my intestines and exit ways. So it started to become an issue for, if I was eating, it got to the point where I didn't want to eat, because then I'd have to go to the bathroom, and going to the bathroom became a project, because the narrowing of the passageways started to become really small, and it was like very, very, very not fun, just put it that way. But the goal is zap this stuff out, remove the 9mm tumor, and hopefully it zaps out the stuff that's in the that's spread. The symptoms here pretty similar to the chemo. Lots of brain fog. I wouldn't say sharp pains or anything like that, but they're burning in there, and you feel things changing in you that don't make you happy. That was kind of strange. I have space cadet written in my notes. Yeah, I was more of a space cadet than normal, so that's a severe problem. I'd wake up sluggish, robotic. I remember just waking up, and before I know it, it's time to go to bed. And so, what happened to the day? What did I do? at some point, my kidney enzymes went south, so I had to change my diet, and I had to have more regular testing. And I'm doing check-ins with the cancer doctor also. And here we go. Our next level of, oh, didn't we tell you this? I'm having a casual conversation with the chemo specialist or the cancer specialist, and she casually mentions this nice little tidbit. I asked her about the surgery or something like that, and afterward, and she brings up, matter of factly, that I'm going to have a ostomy bag. I'm like, what? For those of you who don't know that's when you're wearing a bag for your refuse, for what comes out of us on the side of us. So I was mortified. I'm like, what? Oh, didn't the surgeon tell you? No. Oh, sorry about that. Like, what do you mean sorry about that? Why am I learning this? So another example of, are you kidding me? They just, just casually tell me something else that's even worse. And this is like the common theme as we go along. So now I'm going, after I just find out when I have surgery, I'm going to, have a bag. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, if you're anything like me, that's, it just seems embarrassing, humiliating, uncomfortable, the whole gambit of emotions, why you wouldn't want that. So I'm just like, oh, this is just great. Still being positive though. I'm like, I get through, I go, you know what? Fuck it. So what? If I have it, I have it. I'm here. And I just spent all these weeks with people who have it far worse than that. No pity party here. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you tougher. I gave myself every positive lecture I could. And that's the way I chose to respond to it at that point. I'm still in gambler's mentality, bad beat city, just live with it. The constant tests became, a problem, and the miscommunications of when you could have them and all that sort of stuff, just a real hassle. The radiation finally ended, and I do remember that, boy, they have that figured out perfectly. If that hadn't stopped, literally that was all I could take. I had a bad spell. I had a bad spell with, I remember a weekend where I just was in misery, just absolute misery. And at least they knew how much somebody could take. So, but I was never getting nauseous, at least. It was just lethargy and, problems with, eating and expelling, and there was pain inside, and just I don't know how to explain it. It just was not fun. And so I'm finally done with this, and I'm a moron. So I think, okay, let's get this surgery going, and let's be done with this. And I'm ready to go. So finally, we get that, we can't schedule the surgery right away. There's going to be a big time delay, and we got to wait 5 or 6 weeks for all the radiation and the chemo to work itself out. And so we do that. We schedule the appointment. I figure, okay, we're going to be good to go. Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah, you are good to go. Now let's schedule the surgery. Yeah, that's going to be another month. I'm like, oh, come on. So this is where, my advice comes in is always be proactive about scheduling ahead of time and doing as much as you possibly can to avoid delays. So finally had the surgery. I'm on the gurney that morning, and it finally hits me like a lead balloon. The doctor's explaining, I guess within one of those visits, he explains to me for the first time, Well, not only I mentioned him, thanks for telling me I'm going to be wearing a bag. And he's like, well, that's, oh, sorry. I didn't realize that. Actually, the bigger problem is we're trying to figure out if you're going to have to, I don't know whether you're not going to wear a bag permanently. It's not going to just be temporary. I'm like, what? She said that this was going to be like a temporary thing. Well, your situation is it's really precarious, and I'm not so sure. I won't know until we get in there. So I'm on the gurney in the morning and thinking about that, and I finally, I know it sounds stupid. I just never even looked it up on the internet or anything. I'm just plugging along, staying positive. And they had some pamphlets, and for the first time, I opened up the pamphlets, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's been 30 years, and this is what I knew they were 30 years ago. There haven't been any upgrades to this. I mean, isn't there something automated? Or, I'm a moron. I'm thinking there's been great advancements, and it'll be a piece of cake. No, it's the same thing you would envision. He mentions that he'll do his best to keep me in a situation where the ostomy will be reversible, but he can't guarantee it. The procedure will be 2.5 to 3.5 hours if that's good. It's not a good sign if it's 6 or 7 hours. That means there's more work to be done because he's got to arrange things differently, to prepare for a permanent solution on overall. So this was first thing in the morning, I think 9 a.m. And so I go in, and it's 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes later, I wake up, and it's all done. Of course, that's because when they put you out, it feels like 5 minutes. The doctor's there. My wife's there. I can see a window, and it's dark. And I'm like, wait a minute. If it's dark, what the hell's been going on here? He explains to me, well, it's been 10.5 hours. And I'm like, ready to poop my pants if I could have. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me, I'm thinking. And he explains, spare the details. I don't know the details, but it's, basically 10.5 hours, no break. My wife was the first one in, last one out. Nobody ever came out to tell her what was going on. There was no way for her to really find out. So she's really out of sorts with this, watching all these patients come and go, having their surgeries. So he explains to me, it looks like it worked, and we will be able to reverse this process down the road. That's the good news. So I'm like, oh, God, thank goodness. So, I mean, nobody, with the information they have is going to look forward to that life ahead of themselves. So, I'm an active person. It just wasn't going to sit well with me. So I'm looking at my notes here. I got some sleep, and I woke up the next morning, and the doctor came in. He says, you're going to have to get around. Or the night before, he said, when you get up in the morning, get up, get moving around. It's really important for you to move around. And what you're looking for is we want you to fart. So I'm like, okay, that was something to look forward to. I always like to do that. So once you fart, then we know that we've got your stuff, that's okay. I'm sorry. That's wrong. That happens later on. This one was, you have to get up, you have to get moving around, and it's really important. And so the next morning when I got up, I got my shoulder all of a sudden had the most incredible pain. I could not believe it. I felt like I was hit by a bus. It was so painful. And I hadn't even felt a thing before that. The whole night before, I didn't have a single thing, but I had passed out most of the day. And I look, and my shoulder is like, this entire area is bloodied and scabby or whatever. It was just unbelievable. How the hell didn't I notice that? and it hurts so much. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it going to take to get this to go away? And long story short, it did go away in a matter of like 2-3 hours, thankfully. I find out the doctor says, well, you were upside down. The whole weight of your body was on your shoulder for 10 and a half hours. And that's why it's damaged. And that's why you're in that situation. So I'm just doing the Tim Conway shuffle from Carol Burnett, didn't want to walk around, but it was important to walk around. And that's what I did. And it's no fun being in the hospital because I'm on a liquid diet and I'm hungry. And so the first 2 days, liquids. And then finally they say, oh, congratulations. Well, you're now up to, we can put you on solid liquids. You can have like tomato soup or broth. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm like, so that pissed me off. And so I never, ever got on solid foods there. It was just ridiculous. It pisses me off. I think I got one solid meal. By the way, whatever they're going to serve you, you can have that changed, okay? Don't just sit there and take it. Be proactive with the nurses or whatever and find out what you're going to get or find out what they usually bring and tell them ahead of time that you don't want this or you want that, because they kept on bringing me, I forget what it was, something I don't like. Maybe it was cranberry juice or I don't know. It was something that I really don't like. Could have been grapefruit juice. So it's really important to build up your relationships with the nurses. This is the pro tip number one. The nurses control everything. And don't judge a book by its cover. I had one that walked in the door perfectly efficient. I said, oh, what a godsend. I hope she's here 24/7. And she ended up being a moron. Didn't follow through, didn't do her stuff, and just bad. And then there was this other one that, walked in the door. I'm like, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. And then she ended up being the best for me. So you just don't know. And they have the power to get you snacks. There's lots of miscommunications. Again, same thing with the doctors. Trust, but verify. Whatever they say they're going to do, follow up with the next person. One of the miserable things that you have with these hospital visits is they constantly wake you up. Blood pressure, IV bag change. I forget what else, but as soon as you get to sleep, they wake you up. Just ridiculous. The beds, they're uncomfortable. The pillows really suck. And it became painful so much sooner than you would think to just toss and turn. You can't get comfortable. And you've got the IV sticking in your arm and you can't, everything just sucks. So always recommend bringing your own pillows, whatever you want. Have all your stuff handy. Pro tip number 2, this is actually the most important thing next to trust but verify. Have a notebook and a pen or pencil with you at all times right next to you. Because these doctors come in the mornings and they do their rounds and they get you in your groggy, and guaranteed you're going to forget to ask them stuff. Write down everything you can possibly think of, get it on that paper for when they walk in. It took me a while to learn the lesson that as soon as they leave, I'm going to remember, oh, I forgot to ask this. So very important, very important. And you use that also to follow up with the subsequent nurses to make sure that whatever drug was supposed to be ordered is ordered, or whatever lab or whatever request it was followed through on. I haven't even gotten to the part that I wake up and I'm wearing a bag. So all these other distractions, it was really a nothing. For lack of a better way to describe it, if you haven't seen a picture of it, it's like an inner tube, a little darker red than, pretty bright red inner tube, attached to your chest or your stomach. And they put a little thing around it that with a little bit of like adhesive and it goes around it, and then you attach a bag of some sort. And they've got like dozens of these different styles and stuff like that. That's stories coming, but that was the other thing about this. When you think about this, you go, oh, well, now it's closer to my head, and the smell and just everything about it is, it's not bad. In fact, I didn't believe this ahead of time, but I absolutely do. More than 15% of people that can have that have an ostomy, that can have an ostomy reversal, choose never to. They say, oh, no, I don't want to have it reversed. And frankly, I can't blame them. I honestly understand why somebody would not want to have an ostomy reversed, because number one, what causes the really foul odors is the fermentation, the processing, the fact that it's in your body longer. You don't have those same noxious odors. And number two, if you're sitting there, thinking of all the worst, you're sitting there going, oh, I'm going to be pushing turds out of my, side or something. It's nothing like that. It's nothing resembling that in any way. It's not processed. It just kind of goes in there. You don't even notice it. Frankly, it's a real time saver because you don't spend 10 minutes on the can, and it's just there, and it's really just easy to empty. And as long as the thing doesn't fall off, who cares? It's actually much easier and better, believe it or not. So kind of getting out of sequence there, but just trying to, I didn't know a thing about it. Who wants to go look it up? Good thing to know. So I still, at the time, I didn't want to have it. I was very fortunate. My wife helped me with it, just because, for me, I wanted to make sure it was done properly, and it's just an easier angle if somebody else is doing it. And my wife was very helpful on it, and as she told me, she's now an ostomy professional. So if anybody needs help with that. The bags became a problem. I wanted to get out of that hospital as fast as possible, and they left me in a lurch. Another example of miscommunication. They told me, okay, the home health care is going to call you. They're going to be over your house. They're going to have the supplies. They're going to show you how to use it, because they only gave us like a half-assed how to use it type thing in a couple bags, and that's all we know. We get home, no call. We start calling. The insurance company doesn't know anything. The hospital doesn't know anything. We can't get anybody over. I spent the first 24 hours not even knowing what the hell's going on. Finally got a hold of somebody on a Saturday, and finally got somebody over to the house to kind of, explain it all and show all the options and stuff, because you've got to order all the supplies. They don't give them to you. And that's a process. And there's all these options, and the options are overwhelming. So, it's ridiculous that I got sent home without knowing how to operate the equipment, so to speak. And it was just ridiculous. So, when you're at your weakest, and you're most vulnerable, expect these problems to come up. So that was frustrating. But, the thing about those are, you can shower with them. If you needed to, you could go swimming with them. You can do the with them if you want. They sell these things that wrap around and enclose. I didn't get the wrap around and enclose part, but the only things that can go wrong is if you don't have them attached or they get detached. And fortunately, I only had a couple of minor instances that were very minor, but just comes from the experience. So the time goes by, and I'm optimistic that I can go on my, it's a year later, and I'm optimistic I can go to, on vacation in the summer. I want to get this stuff done, and I want to get this reversal done. Well, I get a kidney stone problem, and that requires a long hospital stay. Well, not a long hospital stay, but that was just extremely, extremely painful. And that was something that held things up. Then after that, I have to go in and I have to have a test. And I have to make sure that the stuff inside that the doctor worked on is healed properly and the reversal can be done. So this is a lot of fun, guys, when you hear this. So I have to go in and sit on a table and I'm in a gown and they're supposed to put all this liquid in me, but they have to be really careful with me because of the location. So they completely muck it up and like it's just a mess. Not a poop or any of that because there's no poop, but just the liquids all over the place and these women nurses there and I'm, my stuff's hanging out everywhere and it's just like no fun and it just pisses me off. So we think we got it done and then have the doctor appointment for another 10 days or 14 days out and I'm expecting everything to be okay. No, we couldn't get quite the reading. We're going to have to do it again. So I had to go back and I had to schedule that. And that's another delay. Had to go back and do the same thing all over again. And that test was no fun. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as the last one, but it was no bed of roses. And so gets the results back. Oh, yeah, we got a reading this time, but we've got this little problem. We got 2 ways to do it this way or that way. I'm going to just try this way so we don't have to do another surgery. And I'm not going to bore you with the details, but again, waste time, schedule an outpatient surgery that he hopes will correct it. We go through that. There's another 6 weeks down the drain. Got to wait for that to heal. Then I got to get a test again. Got to go get on the table again. Then make another appointment. Look at the images. Exact same thing. Well, no, it's not going to do it. I'm sorry. I didn't, I was hoping to avoid, I think he was going to cauterize or close, burn or whatever, something shut. And we're going to have to do that after all. So schedule that appointment, another surgery, get that done. Got to wait for that to heal and got to schedule that appointment again. At this point, I'm an expert on the delays and the runaround. So I get my ducks in a row. And this is what I'm referencing earlier is learn your timetables, learn what you can get done on your own. Because when the doctor told me I got to go through this whole other loop again before I can have my surgery, I got to get shit done. I've got football season coming up. You've already pissed away another summer vacation. And I can't deal with this in the middle of football season. I can't have any delays. So I get his head, whatever, the director or whatever of his office. And I say, listen, you got to schedule this and that. And let's bing, bang, boom and get it scheduled because he wanted me to come back and see him. I'm like, let's schedule. We know he's going to have me go take that test again. So let's save the 3 weeks that it takes to get that scheduled. Let's schedule it for 3 days after my next appointment. And then that's a Thursday, that's a Wednesday or Thursday. Let's schedule the surgery for the Monday after that, because otherwise I'm going to go to that appointment and then he's going to read that. And then he's going to say, okay, we got to schedule the surgery. And then that's going to be another 3-4 weeks after that. So I saved, 6 weeks because I had them schedule bing, bang, boom. She wasn't really receptive to doing it at first, but I said, listen, it takes me 3-4 weeks to get each one of these things done. If I'm scheduled in these spots, there's a few days notice and there's a waiting line of people to get in for these appointments. What's the big deal? I'm here, I'm ready to go. I've been through all this. Let me get these spots and I'll be good to go. And sure enough, that all happened. So finally, it went smoothly. The only thing that went smoothly was finally, okay, you're good to go. I'm in the office. Okay, we're going to schedule this out. And I go, no, I already got a schedule. I'm going to be doing that on Monday. And he's like, how'd you do that? Oh, I talked to so-and-so. All right. Well, then, you're going to go do that. And they told me that you can read this stuff. They send you a disc or whatever over the images and you can review from there. If it's good to go, I already have that surgery scheduled on Monday. So if it's not good to go, we can cancel it. And obviously, you got plenty of people that would be more than happy to jump into that spot. And he's like, yeah, all right, good. So he wasn't that happy that I did that all on my own for some reason. But those are things that you can do. So I'm ready for the ostomy reversal, and I'm thinking to myself, finally. And I ask him, okay, well, what's the recovery going to be on this? And he's, I was like a complete jackass because I said, how long is it going to take me to recover from this? Is it going to be, a few days? Told that this procedure is much, shorter and easier. I left that out. I'd been told all along that, and he had told me, oh, the reversal is a piece of cake. That's no problem. The nurse had told me, oh yeah, you're in and out of the hospital in a day or two. And so I'm kind of basically reiterating that. And the guy just laughs at me. He goes, you have no idea what you're in for, do you? And he goes on, this is a long recovery process. This isn't a couple days. We're talking years. So didn't come out again. Same thing. All this stuff lost in the details. There's stuff that, they don't tell you as you go along that are like miserable things that they just kind of like leak out to you as you go. So not very fun news to hear that, and kind of in denial about that. I go, oh yeah. But I got him back on the table waiting for surgery. I said, by the way, doc, I ran out of those bags, and I didn't know what to do. So I just duct taped that hole shut. So you can just rip that off, can't you? And the look on his face, if I could have had that on a photo, was just hilarious, because obviously you can't be duct taping an ostomy hole. It's like, he was panicking. It's like, I'm just kidding. So I thought that the hospital stay was going to be easy. I'd heard that from multiple people. Could be out. It could be 1 day, could be 2 days. And it was anything but. Ha! I have written down in my notes. No, it was not fun. It was not easy. It kicked my ass. I woke up. It was a crappy hospital room. It was too cold, and I did not feel well. It was just like a different, hit by a bus type feeling, and which is kind of strange, because the first procedure, they're ripping out, at least, I don't know, I'm going to just guess 5 pounds, 6 pounds of intestines. I don't even know. You would think that would be when you feel horrible, but this one knocked me on my ass. So they had me on some heavy meds. The good thing was I could have popsicles, and this is where I'm supposed to fart. Okay, we're just waiting for you to fart. And the nurse, kind of with a smile on her face, yeah, we need you to fart. And so, okay, I'm looking forward to farting. It's been a while. It's fun times. So that was the goal. Same thing. Get your ass out of the bed. Try to move. But I feel like shit. I mean, I feel bad. It's hard to do more Tim Conway shuffle things. Feeling it just liquid diet sucked. And having all these other previous hospital stays, I've got it all down to a science. I've got my electronics and my chargers and my pads of paper, a pillow, this, that, and the other thing, and it was something big was going on at the time, and I'm all ready to work, and I had lots of stuff to do at the same time, and I couldn't do shit. Like if I had 4 text messages, I would have to choose which one was most important and would require the least amount of response combo. That's how I was selecting. I couldn't scroll Twitter. I didn't even watch TV. Just wanted to sleep, and I just couldn't deal with scrolling and typing. I remember typing out a text message. It took me forever, and I'm like, God, what the hell? I can't do anything. They had me on some serious drugs, but it wasn't that. It was different. And that's another thing that I recommend also. All this beeping and all this waking up at night and all this. But at this point, I got my ducks in a row. The same way that I handled the scheduling of this last surgery, that's the way I'm working, my room with these people. I'm not putting up with this horse shit of somebody waking me up every hour anymore. I'm coordinating the stuff. I find out, okay, who's on the blood draw? Who's on the blood pressure checks? When does this have to be done? And I'm like, can we get this coordinated? And this comes from befriending your nurse who can help you. Your nurse is the one that can make life miserable on you, that is slow to bring you pain meds, doesn't give you the little perks of a, ice cream or this or that. Or she can really expedite stuff for you. So, when somebody comes in, and announces, hey, I'm going to be your nurse for the night. And we're, okay, can we, what are the time ranges available for me to have this done? And then, okay, well, so-and-so is going to be doing this. When is my IV due to run out? Okay, well, then let's schedule this for when my IV is going to be running out. And all this can be done at the same time, so you're not waking me up every 30 minutes. And so I was able to get that done. Another huge thing, there are substitutes for IVs. You can take pills. So if you're on an IV and you don't want this thing in your arm, so you don't have to drag it to the bathroom, or you don't have to worry about it when you're rolling over, and you're always going to be rolling over because your ass or your side is always hurting from being in bed so long, get asked if there's a pill option. Otherwise, those stupid machines keep going off, and it just awful. Beep, beep, beep. And you're like, nurse, get your ass down here. And, they never come. So take control of your environment. It's really, really important. You do have, if you know what you're doing, you have some ability to do that. Another important thing, hey, I like to be, some morphine. I'm in a hospital, knock me out. Now, you know what? That's not what you want. You really want to tone down your medications and try to have pain medication that is appropriate for whatever you're feeling, because they overprescribe the pain medications, maybe because people like them. But this is the only time in this whole thing that I actually was nauseous, because it was too strong. And it just, I don't know I forget how to describe it, but I just knew my body didn't need this. And I don't need to sleep all day and be zoned out. My body needs to recover. So, and I was much better as soon as I lowered the dose or changed it to a lower powered substitute. A lot of people, have the attitude, yeah, good drugs, give me good drugs. No, you want to tone those down. Trust me. This time I was begging to go home the first time. This time I went through 3 full nights, and it was a 50-50 if they're going to send me home. And I honestly didn't care if they did or not. I was just, it wasn't just the drugs. I got off the hard stuff they gave me day one. So it was the body needed recovery. And the other thing, you shouldn't be in a hurry to rush home. If you have the ability to stay in the hospital, you want to stay in the hospital, because there's things that happen to you when you get home that you don't, or that you think of, that you need answers to, or that worry you, and you don't have a nurse to ask. Real world problems bother you, and they affect your ability to recover. It's distractions, and it's not the same as having all the support staff around you. You don't want to be calling up some doctor's answering service in the middle of the night and asking them some dumb shit question. And then, and that, so you're living misery saying, why didn't I have that written down and ask them before I left the hospital? So that's basically what happened. They sent me home. It was not fun. It was not fun. And trying to think about if am I missing anything here on this part. I've covered a lot of these tips that I plan to put on there. Being nice to the nurses, don't judge by appearances. expect the offices to be inept and disorganized, and follow up, trust and verify. Think of anything possible to ask the doctors when you have the chance, because it sucks to have that feeling of I don't want to call the answering service. Um, and the other issue that was really important is my wife. It was unfair of me to have my wife not be able to talk about this with anybody. And I feel bad about that. She says that nothing scares her anymore. Even her own mortality, watching me go through this stuff, and she feels sicker mentally than she thinks I was sicker physically from this. And that's a big consideration of who's going to support you. And the other important thing that she says is that it's not just the person that's going through the sickness, it's the person going through the person with the sickness and their mental health also. So it's really important that if you or somebody is going through this, it's really tough on the people that are the caretakers, the peripheral people involved. So don't ever ignore that. And I kind of overlooked a lot of that. But this was far more overwhelming than I ever anticipated it possibly could be. Another thing that I learned also, the times when I was out in public when it was just, I'm barely able to walk through a supermarket. I mean, it was a task. And driving on the road or whatever, I don't think I mentioned this with the neuropathy, but I was driving the car yesterday, and I don't like driving the car because my feet can't feel the pedal 100%. I'm not confident of where my foot is. Is my foot on the edge, and is it going to slip off? And then my car going to lurch forward? So I'm pressing harder down, and I'm feeling uncomfortable on the brake pedal and stuff like that. The neuropathy, but lots of problems can be going on with people. And I remember feeling so fragile and vulnerable out in public at times. It really made me do a double take of like, well, I look normal. Nobody could ever possibly judge me from the outside. It really made me more patient, I believe, with other people, because I really needed that patience from other people when I was going through the worst of it. And I was so grateful when I got unexpected patience. And a couple of times when I didn't, it was like, God, if you only, freaking knew, buddy, what I'm going through. So, I start walking through public places, looking at people and realizing you don't know what any of these people are going through and how deep their struggles may be. You can judge a book by its cover and think everything's okay. But, you look at me, you think everything's okay. And I'm barely making it step by step. And so I think that's something we all have to do is really consider what other people may be going through that you don't overtly see or understand. I'm grateful for learning that, because I really had not a patient guy today, but I've always been impatient, but it's helped me process things better about evaluating those situations and being grateful for where I am. As I said, nobody knew. Nobody can take offense if you're a friend, family, business associate. I work with people every day, and nobody knows what I went through. Don't feel offended. Nobody was ever told. Nobody. Didn't tell family, didn't tell friends, didn't tell business associates. And I just wanted to tell everybody all at once, without having to say the same stories, because you're always going to omit stuff, or you're going to leave stuff out. If somebody's truly interested, here's an avenue where they can. And I felt like I could present what I did in a layman's terms of along the way. There's lots of stuff I'm leaving out, but at least I'm hitting most of the high points and giving a taste to somebody of what they could possibly expect. And the costs are prohibitive. The symptoms and after effects, they can be rough. My neuropathy sucks. I mean, it's very little in my fingers, but my feet, it still feels like I'm wearing something else on my feet at all times. And at least it just bothers me, and it's no fun. And I don't know whether this is from what I've been through or whether it's just because I'm an old fart now, but remember when we used to have a sleepless night and the night would take so long, on and on and on. And nowadays, when I have a sleepless night, the morning shows up like this. So just a strange observation that I've made, over recent years is because I don't get a lot of sleep. I still have a problem sleeping. Where I sit today is, I don't know. I have a 25% chance of reoccurrence. They cut out a big chunk of me. The most recent scans and tests and stuff are okay. I'm having kidney stone issues again. Hope I don't have to go into surgery for that because that was no fun. And it's a process for everything to work again inside, and it's not fun. Honestly, there are times when I honestly wish I had the bag back, because I hate to say it, that was so easy. Just like literally, just empty the bag. You're in and out. Done. You're not dealing with big giant turds or, potato-sized stuff squeezing out of here. That was just a piece of cake. It's just like, more liquid than anything, and it didn't smell. And I could, take care of that in, a couple of minutes, and it'd be done. And what I'm going through now is just, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's just, it's really strange. It's always changing the way that food is processed through me. And sometimes the pain that's involved, I can be perfectly fine for a week, and then I go through just a horrible week. And there's a muscle memory issue and new muscles being trained to do new things. And that's all over. And there are times when, things just block up and they're just plugged. And then, and there are days when I've got to go to the bathroom. Like nobody wants to know how long or how often. It's ridiculous how much time some days I'm wasting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I live in a tri-level house, and I have to hit every bathroom on the way down if I'm going outside, sometimes. And, it's getting better in some ways, and it's getting not better in some ways. And I'm just happy to be here, and I'm happy to have the friends and family and business associates, and most importantly, my wife that had, supported me, and hope can find this a good method to let them know what I've been through. And I'm sorry for being long-winded. If I was, I could certainly double the length of this with stories and other little nuisance things. But I appreciate your time, and I hope that this was beneficial for everybody that watched. If I'm happy to, if somebody wants to reach out, happy to respond with any advice or stories or experience that I could lend a hand on. It's just, life's coming at me a different way. Life happens, and it's been a strange few years, and adding this on top of me being an old fart, it's been very difficult. And what a lot of people don't realize is I lost my father unexpectedly through this, and it's just it's been very difficult. And I just appreciate everybody's support, and best wishes to everybody.